Did you guys
There it
saw?
goes. Got it. Yep, I got it. All right. Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm Shelley Crawford. I'm the Director of Talent Management. I oversee the team where we house Bold New Journey. When you came for your first day, you came to Bold New Journey as your orientation. We also oversee the performance evaluation and particularly the administrative side of that, creating the documents, moving the documents through the system, and so forth. But we also do training around the performance evaluation throughout the year. So what I'm going to share with you today is just a little bit of context about the postdoctoral evaluation, the template that we've used, kind of a journey of where we've come from. We've had a lot of enhancements made to it based on feedback from all of you. So we're excited about where we're at with this new enhancement for this year. So I'll share that. And then I'm actually going to get into the system today and show you how to navigate these new features that we've added for you to help you customize your evaluation template to make sure it aligns to the work that you do and that you're getting valuable feedback to help enhance your postdoctoral experience and your journey and to continue to allow you to grow professionally. So I'm going to show you a quick slide deck and then I'm going to move into the system. It sounds like we have several new folks on the call today. So if you don't know how to get into the system, then I'm happy to answer those questions, but hopefully you've all found your way to PeopleSoft because that is where we house the employee evaluations. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that I can go through our presentation here, and then we will go from there. So again, thanks for being here. My name is spelled a little different. It's in the corner of my square, so please feel free to contact me either via Teams or email if you ever have any questions about your performance evaluation. All right, so just to provide some context, this is a journey of where we have been with our performance evaluations. So what you'll see is in FY 2022, we assigned in employee evaluations. There were 3 different templates, and postdocs received the people leader template. And I think they had done that for a couple of years. This is our 4th year now that we're going into the evaluation, this newer evaluation process. So at that time, postdocs had received the people leader template, and we received some feedback that that just did not work for what you do. And I know Manavithu spoke to it earlier, that you really, your focus is, around research. And so there were some enhancements that were made based on that. So in 2022, I had all the same tabs as the people leader, had a goals tab, core values. Every employee that is evaluated under this process does have a core value tab, and that is important to the university and the university's values. Then there's an operational excellence, core competencies, and the criteria just quite honestly didn't align. So based on some feedback, I had worked with our HRBP team last year too, and gotten some feedback from Dr. Mathur, and we really worked to enhance the evaluation. So last year, if you were a part of the evaluation cycle and you're wrapping that up now, then you had some different tabs. We renamed the goals tab to research goals to really fit what work you do. Core values still remained a piece of the evaluation. And then we created 2 different tabs, which was research skills and research independence. And so all of those items that fell within those areas were aligned appropriately into those. And we heard really positive feedback about having those enhancements last year and making sure that we included those responsibilities of your role as a professional within the evaluation. However, there were still some missing components because as you move through the different stages of being a postdoc, there are different responsibilities that you take on within those roles. So there's leadership responsibilities, mentorship, and other areas where that align to your work that we're missing from the evaluation. So that's where this year I came in, and we've gotten some feedback from Dr. Mathur, who started the conversation with us, and then I've been grateful to work with Madhumita on really looking for a way to create some customization for you in your evaluations so that you can choose those items that align to the work regarding teamwork, mentorship, leadership. So that is what I'm going to show you today. Super excited about it. And I think you'll be really pleased to see the work what we have. When you look at the evaluation, and I'm going to pull it up here in a minute, you will still see at the end, as you're doing your self-evaluations and the manager's doing theirs, you'll still have 3 tabs. One will be core values. As I said, that one's really critical to the university and the beliefs of the university. The research tab is now 1 tab, and it has all of the research criteria within it. And then we've created or tweaked the 3rd tab, which you will now see right at the beginning of the process. So last year, when you opened your evaluation, you had a goals tab, you put in your research goals, and that was it for the first part, or phase 1 is what we call it, of the evaluation process. We have now added this tab in at the beginning that is for teamwork and leadership. And that is where you're going to be able to customize some of the criteria so that it aligns to what you do depending on the stage that you are in your postdoctoral professional career. So I'm going to show you that today. And then, as I mentioned, there's the other 2 tabs will be there once the evaluation is open. So the leadership teamwork tab, as I was just sharing, is a tab that comes at the front. So when you open your evaluation now, you're going to see 2 tabs, the goals tab where you put your research goals, and then this leadership teamwork tab. This tab is pre-populated with some items that really apply to every postdoc, whether you're in stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3. And I know Madamita has shared the different stages and plans to continue to reiterate, what does that mean? You might be going, what's stage 1? What's stage 2? I'm new, I have no idea. And she will share that information with you, but we have labeled them as such to help align the criteria to the responsibilities and the roles that you have within your work. So there's some pre-populated items that are there that if you're in stage 1, that might be it. You're going to keep those stage 1 pre-populated items and you'll be done. But then there's some opportunity for you to select some other predefined criteria based on stage 2 and stage 3. Whether you're picking on some mentorship roles, some leadership roles, those are going to be available to you for you to select as a part of this initial phase at the very beginning. And again, I'm going to share that with you and let you see what that looks like here in a few moments. The research tab. So those things that were under research skills and research independence have moved into 1 tab. And I've spent some time with Madamita making sure that we've tweaked those, readjusted any verbiage, created any bullet points that really help align the work within the evaluation. Last year, as a part of our training, or as a part of our evaluation, we did tweak the rubrics. This year, we've kept the rubrics to be a generic rubric. And so when you get to that phase, if you click on those, it'll just be the generic, what is a 1, what is a 2, what is a 3, 4, and 5. And as we get to those phases, if we need to schedule another call, I'm happy to hop on and do that. But right now, we're just going to focus on phase 1. All right, so let's go into the system. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment so that I can hop into the system and share with you what it looks like. So when we go into, I don't know if it actually closed my thing or not, so I'll check that here in a second. When you actually go into the system and you open your evaluation, you go into the employee service tab, and you'll go into your performance tile. I have several different evaluations in mind right now because I'm doing some practice runs. So that is why you see several. You should only see 1, maybe 2 if you're wrapping up last year's, but you should just have the 1 for this year. And it would be labeled 9/1/23, 8/30/24 because that is our evaluation cycle. So I'm going to show you the template for you that I've set up for myself in the system. Am I still, can everybody still see my screen, or somebody give me a yes? Yes, thank you for the nod. Thank you. Okay, so once you're in and when you open up your evaluation on the left, there are some tasks. Right now, we are in the goal setting phase, which we call phase 1, and you need to click update. That is where you'll be able to now see what you need to have within your evaluation. I failed to mention this 3rd tab. This is a very exciting thing that I learned that we can have in our evaluations and that I can customize based on the templates. The instructions tab is just that. It gives you the instructions for how to enter the items in this first phase. So if you click the expand, we have that as a direction because we want people to know, hey, click expand. So if you click expand, it'll expand each of the steps so that you can read those steps. You can go back if you're like, oh, I know I watched this and was a part of this, but I need to go back and remind myself how to do it. This gives you all of the steps on how to enter your goals and your leading teamwork tab criteria here. So goals are due. They are due at the end of the month, November 30th. So within the goal section, this is where you will add your research goals for the year. So to do that, you can click add item. I usually select add new item because it's unique to what I'm doing and the work that I'm doing. You can title that new item. Let's say I'm going to do something with research publications. And then I did have a goal that I've already created that I was just going to pop into the actual text here. You put it in as the description, whatever the goal is, you click add, and there it is. So you can continue to do that depending on the number of goals that you're adding. Some of you may have 3, some may have 5. It just depends on the work and your focus that you're working on. So that's how you enter the research goals. Please remember that when you're in the system, always click save because you don't want to lose any of your work. So you're like, okay, that's nothing new. That's what you've done in the past. So the new tab is this one here. This is the leading and teamwork tab. So this is where it's a little different. When you click in the leading and teamwork tab, as I mentioned earlier, there are some pre-populated items for stage 1 postdoctoral fellows. So these are items that Madhumita and I were working on that were determined that, you know, most postdocs are required to have these items or work on these items or have these responsibilities within their role. So teamwork, communication, there's some leadership there and conflict resolution. If you click expand, like I showed earlier in the goal setting area, it will expand all of those items and you can see the directions that go with those. So you can see if those apply to you. You might say, oh, maybe this leadership one's not going to apply to you. And I actually see we might, well, maybe this one doesn't apply to you and you're like, I don't think that's going to be one. You can delete these. But what I need to tell you is that you must have at least one item in here. And I really want you to be thoughtful on what items apply to you so that you have more than one item within here, because this tab will get rated at the end of the evaluation process. So we pre-populated these. Again, if you read them and you think, oh, that one doesn't apply to me, you can delete it by clicking delete. Yes, and then it will delete it. Okay. Now, some of you are in different stages. You might be in stage 2 or stage 3 of your postdoctoral career. So to find new items related to your different stages, you would click add item, and it's going to take you to a search criteria. You can do one of 2 things. You can leave it blank and click search, and it will pull up all of the ones that are stage 2 and stage 3. And it'll bring back the one that you deleted. So if you accidentally deleted it and went, oh, I need it back, it is there. You can go back and select it. Like I said, you leave this search box open, click search, and then you can grab those. You can also search by stage. So if I wanted to do stage 2 only, I can plug in stage 2, and it will only show me stage 2. So when you are selecting items, you can select one or you can select all. Unfortunately, at this part of the search, you can't view them like the descriptors, but you can search them, add them on, view them, decide if they apply. And if they don't, you can always click that little trash can icon. So if I want to click one, I can select that and then click add, or I can select all and it will add them all and bring me back here. And they will be located below the ones that were already populated. So again, I can read them, see if this is something that aligns to my work. And if it does, great, I'll leave it and I'll click save. And if it does not, then I will use the delete button to remove it. And so once I have done this, we need to do this by November 30th as well. So your goals are due by November 30th, and then your criteria that you think you need to select an alignment to your roles and responsibilities is also due November 30th. And once you do that, you can click notify and it'll pop up a little box that asks you if you want to email your supervisor, has their name in it. You can say, hey, supervisor, my goals and my criteria are ready for review. And then you can click send for that email. I'm actually going to cancel that because this is not my evaluation. This is just a demo at this point. You can also print if you want to print a PDF version of what you put into the system, or you can export it as a Word document and download it in that way as well. So those are just some other options. I am going to pause there for a minute and ask if there's any questions about the system or anything that I just covered.
So I never talked about this with my chair, and I don't think she knows about this. So I wonder if it's something that they should also contribute in like setting goals and stuff, or I don't know if it's okay. I just set my goals and tell her that this is my report so far, and I just send it to her. Are there any like regulations for the faculty to get involved in this, or we can just handle it and just ask them to just verify it and evaluate us?
Yeah, so I actually wrote your name down earlier because I know you're in that weird little position where they've never had a postdoc in the area. And so I was going to see who your HR business partner. I just saw Tracy pop on. She's one of our HR business partners who works with others. And I'm not sure if she's yours. I have to go back and look. Tracy, I don't know. I know you're there. But I was going to have them reach out to you to make sure that you're getting what you need and that you're whoever is your supervisor. Okay. All right. Priyanka, did you have a question?
Sally, I have one question.
I can't hear you. Can you you're
am I audible?
I'm having trouble hearing you. Your volume is real low for me and I'm not really sure.
Am I audible?
There you are.
Okay, thank you. So how many minimum goals we should set ideally? Suppose one mid-evaluation over now, November, and it is for 2024. Ideally, how many minimum? Maximum, there is no limit for 5 could be.
Right. So typically people set 3 to 5 goals is the range, but it also depends on how meaty, how hefty your goal is, right? Some people have goals that are really intense. And so I see that people might just do 2 to 3 because they're really big goals. I have other people who have stretch goals that they do little milestone goals, right? So they're a little bit smaller and a little bit easier to tackle. So really it depends on kind of the size of that goal and what the intensity of that goal. But 3 to 5 is the typical, what I typically see people set.
And it should be the common goals, right? It's based on the discussion with the PI. It should be the common goals.
So your goals could be things that you're working on within your research. It might be departmental goals. So like my team does have some departmental goals that we all have like a little piece of. We're developing some leadership training. So I have people who actually develop the content, people who develop the online pieces, like, so they all have a piece of that bigger goal. But then I also have some individual goals that are just based on what I am doing in my work. And so I think that's a little bit of a range and it varies on employee. But yeah, it could be shared goals. It could be just your research goals.
Okay, thank you.
Great question. Thank you.
And just to add up, generally all goals are you need to discuss with your supervisor or mentor, and then you decide that. Obviously, just like Sherry said, it is both side, your individual and all, but all these things will go to your supervisor. So he need to know and get approved too, to go to the final stage. So goals as well as this new team leadership program, everything your supervisor has to get approved by the supervisor. So yeah, so you might need to discuss it before or after, whenever, but he needs to pass it, then only it goes to final HR point.
Absolutely. all of this really should be done in collaboration with your leader to make sure that you're all aligned and on the same page as well. Rosale, did you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. So in this section 2, that leading teamwork, so should I need to fill up all the criteria like communication, teamwork, conflict resolution? If no, so how many minimum I have to fill up? And then what about this conflict resolution? I'm not very clear about the term.
Okay, so what the biggest thing to take away from this section is choosing things that align to the work that you do and that you're expected to do. So I don't necessarily have a minimum or a maximum, and maybe Monamita might chime in here in a moment. We built those with stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 in mind, knowing that at stage 3 you might cover quite a few of the criteria that are within there. But again, reading each description and saying, oh, is that something I'm responsible for? Talking with your supervisor about those areas to make sure it is an expectation of your supervisor as well. And then when you mentioned conflict resolution, there is a descriptor here, and I'll pull it up so you can see it. And this is just you as an employee, or you as a mentor, or you as a leader, depending on your responsibilities and roles, modeling and supporting the resolution process that is fair and equitable for conflicts that arise. So as you're working with one another, this section really was focused on teamwork and built in the leadership pieces for those of you who do lead other teams and lead others. That this really talks through how do you work together and how do you resolve conflict when it arises, because it probably does, as you're working in labs and working in different areas of research, that you might have situations where there's conflict, and are you working and modeling appropriate ways to handle that?
Thank you so much.
Sure. Any other questions? All right, I am available if you need me. I have a few more things that I'm going to wrap up with our presentation, just with some next steps so that you are aware. So give me back a second. I'm going to get us back to our presentation. So with next steps, you're going to enter those research goals in collaboration with your leader. That is due November 30th. And then you're going to select the criteria for the leading teamwork tab that aligns to the work that you're doing, work with your leader, determine which ones are best suited for you. And that is also due November 30th. Save, save, save. When you're in the system does not auto save. So you need to click that save button very often. And then when you're done, you can click notify, and it lets your leader know. You can send a little email that says, hey, whatever your supervisor's name, my evaluation is ready for you to review my goals and my criteria. And that way y'all can review it together as well. Your leader has access to that as well, and they can help with goals. They can help adding those criteria. But then y'all can, after it's done for the phase 1, your leader will hit submit, and it'll just save everything and lock it in. Goals and the criteria can be adjusted all the way through our mid-year evaluation check-in process. So between February and March, everyone will get back together with their supervisors looking at the evaluation. If you need to adjust a goal, add criteria, remove criteria, you can do all of that at the mid-year check. Once the mid-year check-in process is done, usually by the end of March, and the evaluation becomes open, all of that stuff is locked in. So take the time to look at it now, put what you need in there for November 30th with your goals and criteria. And then when you meet again about the evaluation in February, make sure that everything is adjusted and right how you like it before the end of March, where the evaluation becomes open for self-evaluation and the final manager evaluation. So those are your next steps. And some resources. Dr. Joshi, she's on the call. She knows the process. I've assigned her an evaluation so she could check it out as well. So she is definitely someone who you can reach out to. We've created a guide that Dr. Joshi will send to you, or has sent to you, that will give you step-by-step tips. It's just a PDF with some directions. Don't forget about the instruction tab within the evaluation. You can click there. That gives you some guidance there as well. I'll send this presentation to Dr. Joshi so you can have my email directly linked into this. Our talent management team is there to help. And then your HR business partners, that'll be a link to them, and I actually have them on the screen based on the department you are in, will align to the HR business partner that is assigned to your college or your division or your department. So you'll have access to that. I'm going to pause one more time for any more questions.
Shelley, will you like to go through that instruction page? That is really helpful and I like it. So
Okay.
if you want to open it and show them what it is, there is everything is there, all question answers.
Are you talking about in the PDF or within
No, not in that, like your third tab.
this right here?
Yes.
Yes, I can definitely do that. Thank you. So in the third tab, when you open your evaluation, it's currently the instruction tab. And so the instructions are only set for, currently they're set for you to help you through the phase 1 process of entering goals, but particularly entering the criteria for the leading and teamwork tab. So if you click here, when you click in this area, it will automatically be collapsed. So for you to see the directions, that's why we have click expand, as I mentioned earlier. If you click this one, it'll tell you click expand. So if you click the expand button, it expands all the directions. That expand link at the top works the same in every single tab, where it'll expand every single item on the screen. Collapse brings everything back up so that you don't see all the directions. Just some little tips and tricks for the system. So when you go here, it has the instructions. So we included some descriptors, little descriptors of stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 postdoctoral fellows. So stage 1 are those of you who are in your first year or second year of being a postdoc. Stage 2 is years 3 and 4. And then stage 3 is the 4+ years within that, within the stages of your career as a postdoc. So then it just goes through the steps. So step 1, enter your research goals, making sure that you have those. You don't want to forget to do that. And again, typically 3 to 5, but it depends on how robust and intense your goals are. And then it goes through step 2, set criteria for leading teamwork. So you'll click that teamwork tab, and then it talks about how you can view the criteria. You can search for it. Remember, if one doesn't apply to you, you can delete it. It talks about how you can select that and save it. And then just the reminders, review your criteria, make sure your goals are done, then selecting notify. We also had some questions that we thought might come up as you're thinking through this. If I'm a postdoc, you're stage 3, do I need all of the items? Again, making sure that the items you choose are aligned to your work. That is the most critical point of this. The reason we created this tab is to allow you to customize based on your role. We want this to be a feature that you find helpful to make sure that your evaluation is evaluating the things that you actually do as a part of your work. So some questions that we have in there. And then again, if you have any other questions, you can definitely reach out. Anything else that I need to review?
No, I think that's great. It's all there, and then obviously me and Shelley are there whenever you guys have any question. Only one thing I want to say, that these all we put there just so that it rather help you, because I know, suppose partially I know each one of you, so I'm just telling as an example, partially she does a lot of teaching thing. She's helping for teaching and all. So sometimes what happens that you are doing those things, you might not know where to put, or you don't get the credit at the end, like what you are doing. So like you said, that conflict, you asked the question, conflict resolution. So maybe when you are doing a teaching in a class and you have some issues, how you resolve that, and then you bring back to your supervisor and how you solve that. That is a credit for you if you did it. And if you put it that in the conflict resolution, you do every day in your class when you take the classes with your student. And then you're at the end of your year, when supervisor will give you a special credit because you are taking classes, it has a leadership role, you are taking conflict resolution, and so many other things. So rather you look at it in the opposite way, like we are really trying what you are doing, or rather you should do join as a leadership program, join as a being as a mentor. As a postdoc, I know pretty much all of you are really helping graduate student in your own lab. That's a mentorship, that's a leadership, but you don't have any separate credit for that. So here you are going to get a credit. Like, yes, I'm mentoring two of my undergrad or grad student, so you put it there. And I'm doing a teamwork. I'm helping them to design their project. I'm helping them to do the experiment. So all these things come there, and finally you get your credit on this, which is generally you should. And we don't, so far we were not having a proper way to put those. Yes, it is there in your resume, but here it will be. So bring those things in your evaluation, because that is ultimately going to help you as a record wise. Also, you are doing all these things. So if you have any question later which you want to choose, how to choose, just ask us, both of us, and please try those. This to rather help you in your resume and also in career.
And I'm going to plug that. That was great, Manmita. I'm so glad you brought it up, because leadership is not just leading your colleagues, it's leading students as well. It's leading your work that you're doing. So a suggestion that I will make for all of you is to go ahead and when you go to that second tab, I would suggest clicking add item, leave this blank, search them all, and just grab them all for now. That way you can take a look at them, because again, you can always delete them if they don't apply to you. So take a moment, make sure you have clicked expand, and take a minute to read each descriptor and really determine in your work where will that maybe apply in the work that you're doing. Because conflict resolution was a perfect example that maybe it's you're doing that as a leader of colleagues, or maybe you're doing that in the classroom with students. Mentorship, you might be mentoring another postdoctoral fellow, or you might be mentoring students. So really trying to think from different perspectives of that different work to see if it aligns. And again, if you read it and you say, oh, this doesn't apply to me, you can go ahead and delete it. And again, it deletes it from your evaluation, but you can always go back and grab it if you go click add item. And if I go back to click add item and I click search, there's the one I deleted. So you can do that back and forth just until you decide, okay, which description really fits the work that I do, and then have it ready to go by November 30th. But you can always select them all, read through them, and then delete the ones that you don't think are appropriate for you at this time in your or this stage of your work.
Yeah, and again, leadership, if you read the description, you will see it is everything. Like even if you are joining your postdoctoral association group, you are in NPA group, National Postdoctoral Association, you are any of the scientific committee, which most of the postdocs are, you go for your presentation, any of the scientific committee. So those all are actually leadership qualities. So it's not like looking at the leadership, you might be thinking it is something you don't really do, but I know pretty much most of postdocs are going for a seminar, talk, any of the scientific community. And even our postdoc association, all of you are included on that. Most of you are included in certain cohort. So these all are actually count. So I will say all of you will be on that. So yeah, ask us if you have doubt on any of those.
Well, I am going to hop off. I do have another commitment, but I appreciate, I saw some of you came on a little later too. So if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. But I appreciate your time today, and appreciate your wantingness to learn about the evaluation process and the new enhancements. Again, these enhancements are really based on the feedback we've received from you all. And I appreciated being able to get that feedback, and then working with Madhumita and Dr. Mathur to make sure that your evaluation really is tailored to what you do and the roles that you have in the work that you do. And I appreciate all that you're doing here at UTSA as well. So let me know if you have any questions. Manmita, if something comes up, let me know. I'm happy to help, and I'll send this slide deck to you, and that way you can send it out.
Thank you so much, Shelly, and I really appreciate, because this was nice to walk them through. And yeah, I will stay a little more. If you guys have a question, we can discuss, and Shelly has a commitment. But thank you so much, Shelly. And yeah, she is always helpful. Like any question you guys have, just reach to her or me. Thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you. Y'all have a great Friday and a great time off next week. Hopefully you'll get some rest and some relaxation.